it just led to me from the time I had babies feeling like I could never be a good enough mom, good enough wife, but I could succeed at this. So I poured all my energy into that. It created greater disconnection, greater avoidance in my marriage. And finally, my husband was like, this is the love of your life, your business. You can have it. And when he said it to me, it was on his birthday on June 14th. I'll never forget. I have the pictures from that day. He wanted to go to the beach for his birthday. He wanted me to come. He wanted me to not be working. I was holding and nursing the youngest baby while he's saying this to me, but I was also on my phone answering DMs, answering messages, creating social posts, doing that stuff. I was there, but I was not there. And
Yep.
that's when he said that. And here's the thing that kind of woke me up, not in the moment, but afterwards in reflection, because sometimes things happen in our lives, right? And we don't get the lesson right away, but if we will sit and reflect on it, we get it. He says, you can have your effing business and I'll take the effing kids. And he didn't mean, I'm just going to take them to the beach. He meant, I'll just take them and leave you for good. And I felt nothing, absolutely nothing. I was so empty inside. And he left. He took the kids to the beach. I went back into the room, rocked my baby, nursed the baby, had silent time. And I realized that there actually was a problem. And there was something inside of me that was hurting, that needed addressing.
Welcome to For His Glory CEO, the podcast for high achieving women like you who have built the business, hit the milestone, checked all the boxes, yet deep down something still feels off. The success is there, but you know God has so much more. I'm your host, Allie. If you're hungry for results rooted in the Word, this is for you. Let's get this party started. Welcome, everyone, to the For His Glory CEO podcast. I am beyond honored to have someone that I admire so much, not only in the coaching space, but in the motherhood and marriage space. And that is the one, the only, Brooke Hemingway. Welcome to the show, my love.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited, and I feel the same way about you.
Oh, the Lord literally, I jokingly said in our prayer before this, the Lord parted the Red Sea when you came in town in San Diego. And we had only been like Instagram friends. And she's Hemingway half dozen. If you do not follow her, stop right now, put me on pause, go follow. She's a blast. I was literally saying prior to the show, my kids enjoy watching Brooke's life. Brooke is like hiking the mountains in Brighton, Utah. Then she's like surfing with the dolphins in Kauai. And then she's like running the beach in Florida. Yeah, that is her life with 6 humans and a husband who's an ER doc. But Brooke, I was so honored to come to your Line conference and see you in the flesh. I was just talking to my inner circle about belly to belly and relationship equity. And you don't get that we had great DM conversations. I was obsessed. I'm like, oh, she wrote me back. Like I was having a blast with you, but it's until you get in the room that you really get to know someone. And not only that, I got to meet your husband. I got to meet your 2 oldest boys. I got to have Matthew serenade us with 2 songs. Like you don't get that in the DM. So love for you to share with people like who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Well, first and foremost, I'm a mom, and I am so happy to always say that. I know I could give all kinds of titles and identities, but I'm obsessed with my humans. And I do have 6 of them, and the oldest is 19, the youngest is 8, so I'm still in the weeds of it. I come from a health and wellness background. I was very traditional, very much like a stay-at-home mom who also worked very part-time as a nurse and in the fitness industry. I did that for many years until about 10 years ago. I fell in love with my first business, which was network marketing, kind of similar in some ways to you. And the thing that I loved about it was being in community with women and seeing women like believe in themselves and see their giftings and be able to see a different vision for their future and something else possible for their future. And so through that, I fell in love with coaching. And I don't even love the term coaching, but it's more like mentorship, coming alongside someone. And I feel like really what I do is I help people to see themselves. I help people to see the juicy stuff, the good stuff, the depth inside of them that needs to be brought out and packaged into something. It needs to become a podcast or a community or an event or a book or a coaching, framework that they design. And when you're in it, you don't necessarily see your genius. You don't see the greatness inside of you. And so I love to see that in other women and help to pull it out of them. And as you know, in the process of doing that, there's a lot of emotional stuff that comes comes up. There's a lot of insecurities. There's a lot of fears. There's a lot of wounds that need healing and processing. And so I also get to kind of do that soul work and that spiritual work with them as they are gaining the confidence to put it out into the world. And then, of course, helping them to do that. So I help them launch their businesses, their brands, their big ideas, and walk them through the process from start to finish, which, as you know, like I said, involves mostly a lot of coaching around the fears and the limitations and what they think they can or cannot do. So that's what I do.
That's just what she does, friends, and all over, like just all over the world. She just does that. And you put on these incredible events, which I love. Oh gosh, this podcast is only 25 minutes, so I got to use my questions wisely. But one thing I really enjoyed about you, and there's 5 million, is that you're not like a big outspoken, I need a big stage, like outgoing person. But what you value so highly is community. And then when the Lord had asked you to like build a line just to like bring together people to like build a community, it became like this passion project for you. And now it's like exploded where you're filling up Hard Rock Cafe San Diego with incredible speakers. I mean, I honestly went because Ray in my inner circle was a keynote. And so I'm like, I got to be there because I'm a girl's girl. If you're a keynote, I'm gonna be in the front row with a pom pom. And I loved, oh, your drumsticks are right over there on my son's drum set. I have them right there, the aligned drumsticks. I should have had them ready to go. But tell me about that like passion. Because one thing you did say from stage is like, it's 2026, friends. If you're not building community, forget about it. That is so important to you.
Yeah, and you have to be okay with starting small. Like building community doesn't mean you're going to, buy out the Hard Rock Hotel in San Diego and spend $200,000 to do an event. It just means like you have to go first and you have to be that linchpin that's going to gather people together around similar interests or similar struggles or similar types of business. And I really am a huge believer in that. And it's so funny because we're seeing a lot of people that built mostly digital type businesses, like they were just dominating in the courses and in the, those digital spaces. Now all of a sudden all of them are building communities and they're doing masterminds and they're doing these in-person events. It's because now they realize, hey, if I don't do this, like you said, that equity that you build belly to belly, I'm not going to be in business. And so I never pictured myself as being someone that would do that. In fact, I made a reel yesterday where I shared that I actually had never considered myself a speaker until this year. Never.
What?
And I've been hosting this event since 2020. I did my first sold out retreat for 84 women in 2019. And I never until this year considered myself a speaker because I didn't seek out speaking training. I didn't join speakers masterminds or get coached on how to write a speech, or it wasn't my intent that I wanted to build a stage so that I could be a speaker. I wanted to build a room because I had felt for so many years like there was something wrong with me, like I didn't belong, like, man, I just can't figure this success thing out. Like, how do I have a family and have a husband and have a career that's really successful and have faith? Like, can I hold all of these things? And it came to a breaking point back in 2018 where I had an experience with my husband where we really butted heads. And it was like I had to figure some things out, or, maybe we weren't going to be able to make it and figure it out. And it was like fire met fire. And through that experience, I started really doing the work to work on myself and figure out, why do I feel so frustrated? Why do I feel so disconnected? Why do I also feel so limited? Because I had believed subconsciously for so long that I cannot be successful and happily married, that I can't be a good mom and also lead thousands of people, that I can't be ambitious and also faith-filled. Like it was one or the other, because I would look at examples of people that had been successful and they're getting divorced, and successful and then they're addicted to something, and successful and then they completely change. And I did not want that. I wanted to keep the core of who I was the same. And so I was afraid to go any higher. And at the same time, I really wanted to, because God gives us these God-given gifts. And one of my dearest friends and mentors told me, you have the gift of drive. God gave you that gift. And so it was like I was denying that because I felt limited. So it was this like frustration, but also this desire to figure it out. And I felt like I had figured it out. And I was so excited about the freedom that I felt, the freedom to be everything that I was created created to be, the freedom to accept that I could, in co-creation with the Lord, decide what it actually looks like for me to be a good mom to my children, for me to be a good wife to my husband, for me to be a good steward over the business. Like I had to figure that out for myself, and everyone has to. How Sally is a mom, how Jenny is a wife, how Mary runs her business, not the same for you. And so I had to figure that alignment out. And I was so excited because I felt so full of energy again. I felt so free to create, and I wanted other people to experience that. And I wanted to create a room where we could have the very real conversations where we talk about how we lost our crap with our kid, or how our husband and how we got into it, or how we lost $500,000 a year in a business. Like I wanted a room where it was real because I desired that so much, and I hadn't necessarily seen it. So I wanted the real. I wanted the how to in an aligned way from people, a variety of people. You saw in the room, there's a variety of people, from a variety of people with a variety of stories. How did they do it? Because I don't know about you, Allie. I always want to know what someone's story is. I'm like, what's your story? How'd you do it? Like, that's what I want to know. I can learn more from that than you giving me your whole framework. Just
Come on, girl.
tell me your story.
Amen. Stories sell, facts tell, right? And I think, your story is so perfect. It was just so cute because we're just meeting for the first time. And then you're like, I'm an ICU nurse. I'm like, I'm an ICU nurse. And you're like, we live in Kauai. I'm like, I'm obsessed with Kauai. And like, we just kept going back and forth. And I do coaching, and I do this. And our biggest pillar is marriage. Mine's marriage, like motherhood. No, wait, I'm a mother. Like, it was just so cool to meet someone. But the real underlying thing that really drew me to you, and it's, I went home and wrote you a card, and Lex Noel is listening. She makes the most amazing jewelry. It reminds me of Kauai. She's here in San Diego. I wanted her to come to your event, but of course it was like, the busiest weekend for everyone. But anyway, I had to write you a card because I was like, hey, I admire and value so much your realness, how humility, you're very, very humble. You're very, very successful, but people wouldn't know, to be honest, right? You don't walk around with millions of dollars in Chanel purses, and look at you right now. Like, you're just like, I just did my walk in the mountains, just worked myself out, like got my thing, right? Like you're like not this showboat, but you're very successful, you and your husband, but you're very real and raw. And one thing that I just came out of the womb this way, my dad always said I'd make the best lawyer, the only one that could like beat him in the courthouse. Cause I'm just like, I don't do fake. Nope. We're not doing that. Like that's a lie. That's wrong. And he's like, I just saw right through people. And I believe it's a spiritual gift, right? This gift of discernment. Yeah. Specifically, I want to go back to the moment that rocked my world. You got up there and you talked about when you guys just fire hit fire. Yeah. You were all in with your business, making millions of dollars, trying to raise these babies, traveling home to home and stuff. And your husband's like, cool, take the business. I'm taking the kids. Bye-bye. Right. Yeah. And to stay that from stage in front of hundreds of people, you said to me the other day, you're like, I didn't even like plan that like at all. I'm like, oh, well, you said it for me, and you said it for her, and you said it for Susie and Janie and everyone else that wouldn't say that because they don't really show the bad days. We're all about like you said, I don't care about your frameworks. Like, tell me the story when you literally lost it all and your husband was ready for the divorce. Like, take me there. Tell me what that changed in you both, because then it created these marriage masterminds you're doing, these high level things, even inside all the aligns. You always have a marriage panel. Is that correct? Friends, I want to share something that I've actually never shared before, but it's been so transformational for multiple 6- and 7-figure business women that I would be remiss not to share it with you. So I want you to picture this. You're in a room with 10 other women who are running payroll, running teams, making heavy, high-stake decisions, and managing everything. And imagine you bringing your question or your bottleneck to that group of women. Do you think that you can handle things which used to maybe take you months, maybe years, in the next 10 minutes? What I found is a lot of us playing at this field, we don't struggle with lack of strategy, motivation, even discipline. We struggle with not having a sounding board in real time with ideal clients and women who truly get the level we're playing at. And that's why I created the Inner Circle for multiple 6- and 7-figure women to play in. It is the community of communities that offers transformations like I've never seen before. And you know what the number one receipt is? We had 100% retention of those clients from 2025 rejoin us for 2026. It's a private, exclusive group and extremely selective as well. But if this sounds like this is exactly what you need, grab the Inner Circle application in the show notes and we'll let you know if you're a great fit. All right, back to the show.
Yeah, it's so important to me. I love personal growth and I love seeing so many women grow and transform. But I think I love that you're doing this work too. I
Yeah.
feel like it's so tragic when someone thinks they outgrow their spouse and their spouse hasn't even been invited into the space.
Come
It's
on.
actually a type of pride, I think, honestly, is like you think you're so much more evolved and you're like guru status or whatever, and your spouse doesn't even stand a chance. And I want more spaces where couples can grow together instead of being on their own growth journeys. And I think we need more spaces like that, especially couples that have children. Honestly, if I'm honest, there are people that are leading, couples things and there's nothing wrong with them except they've never had a child. They don't know the added stress that it brings into a relationship. They're not necessarily co-leading, both
Right.
leading. And so it's a different dynamic that we don't see enough of. So really what led up to that is I uncovered through the process of going through this that I had always felt like I was a disappointment. That was my core belief about myself. I had never felt like I was enough. I believed my needs didn't matter. And I believed I was bad, just bad, bad mother, bad wife, bad leader, bad everything. Mind you, I'm going to private islands. I'm making over $1 million a year. I live on Kauai on 3 acres in a house that we custom built and I designed. We built a cabin in the mountains. Like there's clearly evidence that I am not a loser, but I felt like a loser. And so, what do a lot of high performing women do that haven't really dealt with the demons that are inside of them and those dark corners? We just overperform and we
Hmm.
overcompensate and we show up for everyone else and we try to keep up this appearance. And I may not look fancy, but this is me because I lived in Hawaii for 25 years, right?
Yeah.
And
And I
so
love
I
it.
am very much like a natural, kind of minded girl, but I kept up that appearance. I kept up that like facade of like everything is good and I was just killing it in
Yeah.
the business space. I was killing it in leadership, but at home things were dying. I was disconnected, I was avoiding, I was frustrated with my husband. He was kind of frustrated with me and there was this anger energy that was
Mm.
happening and really I just didn't believe that I could be good at all of the things. I believed the lie that I had to sacrifice something and I felt like I would never measure up as a mom or a wife. I felt like that even before entrepreneurship came into my world. I felt that way. Like I could never be a good enough mom, never be a good enough wife. And so to have something that I was actually succeeding at,
Yeah.
it became like a drug, like an
Yeah.
addiction, because it's like, oh my gosh, well, at least I can be good at this.
Mm.
At least I can kill it here. And I felt like such a failure in so many other ways because I also shared from the stage, which you didn't mention, that I shared this story about when my oldest son was 8 and I was just at my wit's end and I was struggling with anxiety and depression. I was so overwhelmed. I threw him against a wall.
Yeah.
And I remember you couldn't believe I said that
Yeah.
from the stage, but you'll learn this about me. I will tell the truth because what
Yeah.
mother has not lost her temper?
Come
And
on.
mind you, I didn't pick him up and throw him. It was like I pushed him
Yeah.
because he is my child that doesn't ever stay quiet. He is like always like in my face. And I was just so tapped out. And, it just led to me from the time I had babies feeling like I could never be a good enough mom, good enough wife, but I could succeed at this. So I poured all my energy into that. It created greater disconnection, greater avoidance in my marriage. And finally, my husband was like, this is the love of your life, your business.
Mm.
You can have it. And when he said it to me, it was on his birthday on June 14th. I'll never forget. I have the pictures from that day. He wanted to go to the beach for his birthday. He wanted me to come. He wanted me to not be working. I was holding and nursing the youngest baby while he's saying this to me, but I was also on my phone answering DMs, answering messages, creating social posts, doing that stuff. I was there, but I was not there. And
Yep.
that's when he said that. And here's the thing that kind of woke me up, not in the moment, but afterwards in reflection, because sometimes things happen in our lives, right? And we don't get the lesson right away, but if we will sit and reflect on it, we get it. He says, you can have your effing business and I'll take the effing kids. And he didn't mean, I'm just going to take them to the beach. He meant, I'll just take them and leave you for good. And I felt nothing, absolutely nothing. I was so empty inside. And he left. He took the kids to the beach. I went back into the room, rocked my baby, nursed the baby, had silent time. And I realized that there actually was a problem. And there was something inside of me that was hurting that needed addressing. And so when he came back, I said, well, two things. Number one, if you ever leave, I'm keeping everything, including the kids, and you get nothing. just so we can establish that, because I probably also would have been a great lawyer. Okay. Number one. And then I said, number two, you're right. This is where the humility came in, right? It's like the
Yeah.
strength of, hey, don't ever talk to me like that again.
Yeah.
Right? Because honestly,
All in.
don't ever talk to me like that again. And the humility of, you're right, something needs to change. And in that time of reflection, I realized just how empty and all these ways that I've been feeling, thinking, believing about myself were surfacing. And I didn't want to feel that way anymore. And
Mm.
just because we don't want to feel a certain way, it doesn't mean we're not going to. We have to actually do the work to heal. And that's when the work began.
Come on. Oh, girl, such gold. And that's what I think is so important. When we're not real with people, when we're not really sharing our stories, then when people push the kid, husband leaves, all the things are like, no one gets this. No, no, no. We all get it, actually. If we're honest with ourselves, we've all been there. We've all been to that point where, I mean, I don't know if I shared with you that I was at a big corporate dinner at our company and a woman said, if you didn't marry Jesus, you'd be divorced. And everyone goes silent and they're all staring at me. And she was one of my top earners on my team. And clearly she's talking to me. There's nobody behind me. And so I had enough grace, like, or enough like Bible understanding too, of like, you better humble yourself right now. Right. Like, you know, and so I said, okay, thank you. Thank you for your honesty. Most inappropriate time to ever say this or have this conversation. But obviously you feel passionately that needs to be said. And you have all the C-suite people right here and every other millionaire to hold me accountable to you calling me out. But I'll be forever grateful that she did. And that's how the trajectory of even my whole story became. And that's why Marriage Made in Heaven and this live event that we're doing here, coming like the podcast, everything came out of a woman who had been divorced, single mom, who loved us dearly, who had a very inside look into our lives, was like, hey, I'm just going to call it out because it's not going to end out well for you. And I appreciate people. I appreciate your husband being so honest with you. And that's why we put ourselves in community. That's why we're
Yeah.
real and raw with people so they could be like, actually, no, you suck. You're actually
Well, it's true. And I feel like I've been in this season of shedding identities. And you had a lot of success, you know, obviously top earner and whatnot. And it just kind of happens insidiously. If you're not careful, you can really start to identify with like the status or the titles or the accolades or the
yes.
levels of success or income or the circles that you're in or the people that you know or whatever. There's so many false identities that
Mm,
we can have. And who are you without all of that? You know,
mm,
would you be willing to let go of all of that? And I feel like the Lord has been kind of removing some things from my life, whether it's removing desires that I used to have, removing people that I thought would always be in my life, removing desires to, you know, expand in certain ways, or maybe even some income streams. And so it's just been really, really interesting. I've been sitting in this place of also examining what are all of the identities, these
mm,
false identities that I've put on, and who do you want me to be in the
mm.
next season, right? Because I'm going to be 50 in 2 years. So it's like, okay, well, you know, who do you want me to be for the next 10 years or the next year? And I'm always in that process of just kind of redefining who I'm supposed to be and learning how to become detached from the things that don't matter and like fiercely attached to the things that do.
Oh, girl, preach, preach. I love reinventing yourself every day. Like you can literally reinvent yourself today, yesterday. One of the things we were talking about, I'm like, what's really pressing on your heart? And you're like, that there's no better time than like the present. Like people just think, oh, actually, when my kids are grown or when this money comes in and when the sun shines this way and doesn't hit my house, that what people make the craziest things for when the best time for them to do anything in life. Meanwhile, you and I have like reinvented ourselves 72 times and it's noon. And, you know, we've reinvented our children and their businesses by two, right? Like we all are not wired the same. That's for sure. Brooke and
Yeah.
Allie are a little different than the average person. But share with me like that passion right now that you have to share with people, because I think that's really important to my listeners of like, hey, there's not going to be a perfect time ever,
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah, yeah. And I will just add to that, you and I have an extreme gene, but I think that actually most people could access that, right? We
Mm,
have to ask and have a desire and seek to be able to access these parts of ourselves, the drive, the humility, etc. I
yes.
believe that because we have God in us, because we come from God, we are his children, like we can access these different attributes.
Come
And
on.
I can't think of anywhere in history or in the good book where it says, hey, if you decide to follow Jesus, your life is going to be really easy and things are going to be super smooth. I was asked once on a podcast how I want to be remembered. And the first thing that came to mind was obedient. I want to be remembered as being obedient. And I
Come on.
was a little bit surprised that that's what came up. But when I say obedient, I mean like when I feel impressed and called to do something, I am going to act with urgency. I'm going to act
Mhm.
quickly. I am
Yes.
not going to delay because my delay might push somebody else's blessing or somebody else's need down the road. And so it's not about my comfort, but I can have peace in the process, even when life is hard or challenges come up in building a business or launching something or doing an event. Like it's not easy. The challenges come up through the last 3, 4 years. I've had 2 kids diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. I had a child that almost died from anorexia. I lost a business that earned me $500,000 a year and had a huge falling out with this business partner that blocked me and then went on to talk about me on social media forever and a day. And I had a house build that went south and our builder died and we lost $200,000 with a bad contractor. I mean, so many different things. And
Mhm.
my husband's depression baked into this and the effects after, COVID. And it's like, what in the actual? And so I could have had every reason to stop. And this is not me lacking compassion. For those of you listening, I don't know what you're walking through. I don't know what you're going through. But I know that it is so important that you remember,
Mhm.
remember, remember, remember. Remember the impression you had. Remember the feeling you had. Remember the inspiration you had. Remember what God told you to do. That doesn't change because your circumstances change.
Come
It
on.
just means you need to get a little bit more creative, or you need to go about it a different way, or you need to seek guidance from people that can maybe understand and have gone through a similar situation. The worst thing you need at a bad time is sympathizers. You
Come
need
on.
challengers. Like you need to surround yourself with challengers, not challengers that are brutal and that are mean, but challengers who actually see you, I think, see you through the eyes of God. They
Come
see
on.
into you and they see what's possible for you. And they cannot, it is just not in their soul, like someone like you, Allie. It's
No.
just not in your soul to just play nice with someone and tell them what they want to hear. You're
No.
going to be honest with them because you know it is essential and it is necessary and they need to keep moving forward because someone needs their work, needs their message, needs their product, whatever it is. And so I just am an example of being unstoppable because I refuse to let life and the things that happen in life stop what God has told me to do. And there's all kinds of steps and things I could talk through with that, but I won't today. I'll just say this is like life never slows down. It never gets more simple. I thought life was hard when my kids were little. I have
Don't.
four teenage boys now, 4 teenage boys, and 2 little girls that go to gymnastics for 8 hours a week. And my life has not calmed down. And I am here before you today to say it's possible. It
Mhm.
starts with a decision every single day. What can I do today to move forward? This challenge in my life is not everything, so I am not going to make it everything. It is not going to consume me. It's not going to be the totality of my existence. Like we know there's duality. It's in the Bible, good, evil, happy, sad, light, dark. Like we have both in life for a reason, and we have to learn how to carry the happy stuff, the joyful stuff, the awesome stuff, and the sad stuff and the
Yeah.
painful stuff. And guess what? When you do it with God, you can do it. It just feels impossible when you're like, I'm going to try and do this on my own.
Right.
Like, I'm going to try and do it. And so it's a fallacy. Later is a lie. When I is a lie. It's this little insidious lie. I think it comes from the pit of hell, honestly,
Mhm.
because if Satan can stop people that are doing good work in the world, he's not only stopping you, he's
Mhm.
stopping all of the impact that you could have. And so if you think it's anything other than that, it's not. That's exactly what it is.
Come on, girl. Do you know what the Bible says the secret to success is?
I
Joshua
don't
1.
remember. I
Yeah.
probably should know.
No, it's good. People don't know all the time. But Joshua 1:8 says the secret of success is truly the secret of obedience. Right. And like I always tell my kids, obey right away the first time. Don't wait. And my brother in law, they're pastors and they run Wagyu cattle. kill. And he's like, if my kids don't listen to me right away, they're going to get killed. They're going to get trampled by a mom. They're going to get hit by a car. Like, right. So like,
Yes.
there's no delayed obedience. When I say something, it's life or death for them in the ranch life, and I teach my kids that, okay, maybe it's not like on the ranch where you're going to get trampled by a bull
Right.
but like the truth is what you're saying, if you're delaying on what God's asked you to do, you're going to get taken out. Why? You're not going to be walking in the will of God. You're going to try to do everything on your own. You're going to be hitting your head against the wall. You're going to run into things. Whereas if you take action and be obedient, you're going to impact so many lives. Everyone's waiting on your yes. I write here, I say, today you're someone's answer. Like I have post-it notes everywhere in this office, but today I'm someone's answer. If I'm going to delay on bringing what God's asked me to bring because I'm consumed by my own self-interest, right? It is pride.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
ego. Well, when if this doesn't work out? Or what about me? I actually, this will bless you. So one of my clients has a multi-million-dollar trucking company
Yeah.
and they're head to head with the union and they're like mobsters, the union. Like they're just, he's like, basically we're going to lose a 50-year business that we built as a family, everything, like it's bankruptcy. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. I'm like, it sounds like a lot about you. And she's like, oh my goodness, here I am like saying God's going to get all the glory, but it is all about me. It's my reputation. It's my business. It's everything. I said, why don't you just go trust God and go tell them how it's going to be? Why don't you go to the mobsters and tell them, hey, this is how it's going to be. Okay. We're going to do this and you're going to do that. And that's how we're going to come together. Okay. Bless you. Bless me. We're good. And she was like, that's like a Hail Mary. I'm like, you don't have to name it that. Just call it done. So she goes to the lawyer, her lawyer says, this is how it's going to be. And he gets offended. He gets offended by her telling him how he's going to go tell the mobsters, this is how it's going to be. And so she's like, well, I don't care. That's just how I feel. The Lord has impressed that on me and this is what I'm feeling. And so be it. She gets on her work call and just like goes about her day. Her husband comes up. She goes, it's the lawyer. And she goes, okay. And he goes, they agreed. She's like, oh, the union, the mobster agreed to really what like she,
Of course. I knew. Of course, not even surprised.
not
He
even
always
surprised.
comes through. And usually it's just in time. My mama taught me it's the JIT method. God uses the JIT method just in time. Like it's not going to come a moment too soon
Nope.
or a moment late, and he's going to make you wait and really like show your faith. And that's such a perfect example of someone just deciding like, whoa, I'm living in fear. I'm not actually living in trust. I'm not actually living in faith. So, so powerful.
So, and why worry about us? Who cares? This is another powerful thing. Girl, my podcast. Sorry, friends, we're going over. We got one more question. I know everyone's like, I love it short and sweet. Now I'm like getting flowing.
Nope.
But girlfriend, one thing that really spoke to me in the Hard Rock Cafe, you decided you had a breakthrough in that moment where like you could have done things on the cheap. The tickets weren't selling, tons of things were going on in your life, personally, professionally, all the things. And you had this breakthrough moment where you're like, I will not. I will go bigger and better. Like there's no settling. I will make sure this is like the best. Tell us that because that is something unprecedented. And I don't know of many people, if any, that would have stepped in the way you did, Brooke, with that like confidence and that posture.
Oh, yeah. Most people would not want to admit that the ticket sales didn't come in the way that they thought. They would feel like that's like admitting failure. And to be honest with you, at first, like a couple months prior, I did have to go through that because we're human, right? We're living in this human condition. And there was a little bit of pride and like, what the heck is happening? There were 100 more tickets the year before, and it was so powerful that year before. And I'm like, why is this shrinking? Like, what is this all about? And at the same time, I was planning to up level and execute at an even higher level because I had this vision of how it was going to be, how it was going to go, what everything looked like, how everything played out, having Sammy there DJing and having the stage how I wanted it and highlighting these authors and having these incredible like people come in with their booths and just like having I think 30 something like speakers and panelists. Like no
It was
joke.
huge. Yeah.
It was huge, like amazing, like expenses the highest they'd ever been.
Yeah.
Ticket sales down 100.
Lowest.
If you do events, not lowest, like it was, but it was like it had not been that in years. And I had to decide, am I going to make my decisions based off of budget? Or am I going to make my decisions based off of the original vision that God gave to me? Am I going to move forward in faith and am I going to do this? And I just decided, screw it. Like, we are just going to do this. I'm going to execute because I am nothing if not a living, breathing example. Like in everything that you do for for all of you listening, the little things that you don't think people are paying attention to, the little things that you think they're not seeing or they're not paying attention to, people are watching you and you are either discouraging them or encouraging them. Because
Come on.
imagine if I had scaled back, if I had pulled back, if I had gone on the cheap, people that have come into that room, if they had seen me retract, would that have given them more faith for their expansion, more excitement for what was possible? Or would they think, oh my gosh, if this is not possible for Brooke, it's
Mhm.
certainly not possible for me. And that was one of the most powerful lessons. I didn't even realize it. I'm just doing me. I'm just like, hey, and I'm like sharing the real stuff and like, whatever. If somebody wants to judge me in there and not come back, okay, bye, there's
Right.
the door. Like there will
Right.
be someone else because I'm so done with trying to pretend or perform. And I think everyone's done with that. And so
Yes.
afterwards, one of my dear friends that spoke pulled me aside and said, that was the most profound thing that I have heard. And I needed to hear that because your boldness in moving forward with the vision, even when the numbers didn't make sense, even when the budget didn't make sense, that was the biggest lesson for me. And I
Yeah.
think we have to move forward in obedience. And I also think that if we don't, we can't expect that we're going to have the same closeness to the Spirit, right? God is always with us.
Yep.
But if we're not really attuned and we're not really obedient, we might be in seasons where we have more confusion,
Mm.
where we struggle more because we haven't really attuned ourselves and learned how to be like in alignment in any circumstance. He never leaves us, but sometimes we leave him. And we
Mm.
leave him through our disobedience or our small acts of not following that prompting that we've had. And so I just put my stake in the ground and I was like, I'm going to follow through and I don't know what this is going to do, but I'll tell you really, really quick because I know we got to wrap this up. What happened after we wrapped the event the very next day, one of my speakers that is just a really incredible human being reached out to me and he said, I just can't believe what that experience was like. And just to be able to experience that and be in the room and the things that you shared. You know, I wanted to reach out to you because there's this tech billionaire, amazing Christian guy, just like amazing human being, made so much money in tech, who does these retreats for couples that are out there doing good work in the world. And it's completely free. And we want to invite you to come to Hawaii for a week. And we just want to pour into you. And we just
Stop.
want to take care of you. And we want you to be around other incredible power couples who love the Lord. And you're just going to be pulled into. And the retreat's just all about genuine fulfillment. Would you like to come? And I was like, okay. I mean, that wasn't money in the bank, but to me, it was like, wow, I showed up and I authentically delivered what God told me to deliver.
Come
And the
on.
blessing came through connection. The people that I have met through that, it's been so beautiful. And being able to be poured into and restored and not have to produce or create or be the retreat host, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, right? So we don't always get the blessing immediately. Sometimes we get it later, but what we do get is we get peace of mind, knowing
Mm.
that we have followed through and we have been obedient, and nothing beats feeling that peace.
Girl, from the Prince of Peace himself, peace I give to you, peace I leave with you, like the peace that surpasses all understanding. Everything can be blowing up behind us. And we're like, we're so good. We are
Yeah.
so good right now. This is
Yeah.
amazing, right?
Yes.
This is
Yes.
amazing.
Exactly.
Oh, Brooke, where can everyone find you?
Well, I mean, you can find me on Instagram at Hemingway Half Dozen. That's a fun way to connect, or brookehemingway.com or alignEventsLive.com. That's where you can be in the room with us and hear lots more interesting stories, I'm sure.
Oh, not only interesting stories, meet incredible people. I am so thankful for the people that I got connected to by being in your room. And now we're all friends. And, I just think the goodness of God to allow all of us women, especially that we have the same pillars, right? We got the motherhood, the marriage, and the $1 million business. But the real thing is the real and raw and transparent. Like, don't tell me all the highlight reel. Tell me like when your husband, when your buddy told you that if you didn't marry Jesus, you'd be divorced, and your husband told you I'm out with the kids. Like, I want to lean into those. One other thing, I know we need to wrap up, but one huge thing you said to me at that event, you were like, you know what, I'm like, are you nervous? Are you excited? And you're just like, this is who I am. Like, I don't really need to like, of course we prepare and we want to make sure we have great, incredible things to speak on, but it's who we are. We embody this. We don't have to become someone we're not when we hit the stage or when we hit the Zoom or we hit the pulpit or we hit the barbecue or the couples retreat. It's who we are. And I
Yeah.
just thought it was so awesome. You said that in a pivotal time for me coming into something. I'm like, no, it's who I am. I don't have to
Yeah.
be nervous about this. I don't have to be worried about the connections and stuff like that. It's like
Yeah.
I am who I am. And like you said, the exit door is right there. Or like the
Yeah.
like we aren't a good fit. That's fine too, right?
Yeah,
Like
it's totally fine because other people will resonate with other people and it means nothing about you. But my friend Jordan says something really funny. She says, I have the receipts to back it up, right?
Mhm.
So I think that when you have really, really gone through some things, and
Yes.
when you've also built some things, like substantial things, real things, actual assets or creation of business, and you've weathered some real storms, your soul is deep and wide.
Mhm.
And you don't have to pretend because you have the receipts to back it up.
Jordan. Again, got to meet her because of you. Love her. Love her. Brooke Hemingway, thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys, seriously, you have to follow her on IG. Like I said at the beginning, my kids and I will watch her with like snow hitting her in her face on her like mile walk. You are such a disciplined mom. We could have talked about 50 million things about you, but you're extremely disciplined in your habits, in your health, in your working out, and really always making sure you steward this temple that you live in, which is so empowering. And then, of course, you're in Kauai in the summer. So my kids are like, well, we could just go meet Brooke and her kids
You
in
should.
Kauai.
You
We
should.
should. We absolutely should this summer. And I'm so grateful you're going to stay on the island and not try to travel back and forth and just really stay put. And then you guys, she has this house she's building in Florida and I do retreats. And I'm like, hey, well, maybe I just rent your house for our retreats
Let's
in
do it.
Florida. So many amazing things. So thank you, my friend. Thank you for you. Thank you for how well you steward the gifts and talents that God's given you. And thank you for being a part of my show, one of my very first guests here in For His Glory.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I adore you.
Oh, right back at you, girlfriend. Well, thank you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Bye bye. You've been tuning in to For His Glory CEO podcast, where unshakable faith meets bold business strategy to equip you for your next level. If this blessed you, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it. And if you're a businesswoman that's looking for the right circle to scale big, we got you. Click the show notes and hear more about our For His Glory CEO community, which is one of a kind, amazing. And remember, we're not just building businesses, we're building the kingdom of God. Until next time.